welcome back to my blog. This week I'm talking about the pros and cons of writing workshops. Lately I've been thinking quite a bit about the value of writing clubs and writing workshops. This is mostly because I'm working on an article that touches on this topic and because I recently joined the committee of my university's writing club. Writing clubs and writing workshops are a contentious issue among writers. Stephen King hates them. Chuck Wendig believes they can be useful. Cheryl Strayed and Chuck Palahniuk are members of the same writing club. Other authors such as Ann Patchett, Elizabeth Gilbert, and Denny Shapiro have a more private arrangement as they seek out the advice of other writer friends. This usually occurs after the writer has completed their final draft, but before they submit it to an editor. Writers' clubs and writers' workshops focus on experimentation and feedback on works in progress, but authors such as Patchett, Gilbert, and Shapiro, they only invite other authors into their writing room once they feel confident in the work. Writers need feedback and we need community. You don't have to be a member of an organized club. You don't have to attend monthly meetings. And you don't have to read stories that aren't your jam. But doing those things can support you and your writing. Most writing clubs have a pretty simple structure. Writers distribute copies of their work to club members ahead of time. During the meeting, the writer shuts their trap while each group member presents their feedback on the work. By nitpicking other members' work, the idea is that each member will better be able to identify the weaknesses in their own work, while of course, assisting the author in question with their work. Workshops and clubs also provide writers with the opportunity to experiment with different writing exercises and techniques. I used to do a lot of writing exercises, but I confess that these days it's pretty rare that I ever do them. When I get time to write, I usually want to work on a short story, a novel, or this blog. I want to sit down and produce something specific, something that can go out there in the world and be shared. Writing exercises are made for scrapped notebooks, so don't go publishing that stuff online. But writing exercises are tremendously useful. They help stretch your technical abilities by introducing you to new literary devices and then challenging you to apply them. Writing clubs and workshops give you the time, space, and permission to mess around with your writing. To produce something in the name of learning rather than relying on the tricks you've already mastered. Writing clubs and workshops aren't about presenting perfect prose. They are about mess. They're also about community. Being able to talk about your writing process, about books that you love, and resources that support you is just part of the package. There is value in sharing your successes with people who really get what a big deal it is to get a publication or to get shortlisted for an award. People who know what it is to open a vein and to bleed onto the page. People who share your passion for words and stories and truth and beauty. Workshops and clubs are a safe place where you can present works in progress, but they are also places of critical growth. Now, let's not sugarcoat this. Having someone pinpoint the typos, flaws, and weaknesses in your art can be pretty uncomfortable, embarrassing, and even maddening. Sharing your art with someone is an incredibly vulnerable experience, even when you know it isn't perfect. Probably because it isn't perfect. It's challenging having 15 people tell you what's wrong with your work. But if you want to grow and develop as a writer, then you need to know what your weak points are so that you can begin to strengthen them. Of course, writing clubs and workshops also have their dark side. If a club consists solely of beginning writers, some discernment regarding the quality of each member's feedback may be required. These kind of groups can feel a little bit like the blind leading the blind, as members are more qualified as readers rather than writers. Perhaps you are extraordinarily lucky and one of the members in your group is a professional editor. but chances are you don't have such a member. If the members of your group aren't able to remove themselves from the editing process, then you are going to run into a bit of a problem. When feedback begins to slip into those icky places of "this is how I would write it," or "this works for me, this doesn't work for me," then members are not critiquing submissions on their own merits. They are not acknowledging the author's unique voice or style. You're not there to tell the person how to write it. You're there to help them strengthen the work as it currently stands. I have also been a part of clubs where members begin to mimic one another's critique style. If confident members of the group favor a minimalist style and present their feedback in accordance with their personal tastes, then less confident members of the group hear these opinions and they start to adopt them as their own. Such a person may even extend these opinions to their own writing as they strip all decoration from their descriptions, dialogue, and prose. If you become familiar with the type of feedback each group member gives, then you may become overly self-conscious while writing, and you may begin to censor yourself in order to avoid having John point out your love of adjectives again. Eventually, this may lead to all members sounding more or less the same. That being said, I personally think that writing clubs and workshops are valuable, and like everything in life, you gotta take the good with the bad. Writers' clubs and workshops aren't essential, they are just another nifty tool you can use when you need them. If you join a club and realize it's just not for you, then great! You just figured out something about your creative process. The main thing you gotta remember with writing clubs and workshops is that members' critiques are really just a whole bunch of suggestions. If someone makes a comment or provides feedback that doesn't land with you, then you can exercise your authority as an author and ignore it. However, if 6 people say that your dialogue is a little on the nose, chances are it probably is. We all know that writing can be lonely. That's kind of the appeal. But sometimes solitude can slip into loneliness. It's really nice to talk about the struggles we are encountering with other people who are encountering it. It's nice to have someone recognize an elegant sentence that took 2 hours to write. It's really nice when someone picks up a subtle literary reference. Writing clubs and writing workshops offer community, encouragement, and support. They are a place where you can be productive and goof off. The trick of their success lies in our ability to recognize them for the beasts that they are, a dog that can bite and befriend you. There you have it, guys. Those are my thoughts on the pros and cons of writing clubs and writing workshops. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe or give it a thumbs up. Know that you can always follow me on social media, all the links are below. Feel free to check out my website, taraeast.com. If you sign up for my weekly newsletter, you'll receive a short story straight to your inbox as a thank you. Thank you very much for being here again this week, guys. I hope you've had a super productive week, and I'll see you again next time.